Hey everyone, it's Pulver again from Elevate Your AIQ. We are still here in HR Tech 2025, and now I have the pleasure of speaking with Taylor McLemore from Tilt. How you doing today, Taylor?
I'm great. Thanks for having us on the podcast.
Absolutely, I'm glad to have you. First, a confession.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about leave management,
Yeah.
but we're here because I want to learn, and I want to hear about your new AI agent.
Yeah.
I want to hear about leave experience management and the sort of relaunch of the platform that you guys just announced. And so, yeah, I'm here to learn.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
And you sit, I think, from the perspective that the super majority of people do, which is there's very few leave experts in this world. Not everyone has experienced leave at work, but most people have. So it's this interesting, like most people have some connection to it,
Mhm.
but the expertise thing is kind of why we exist, right? Do you want me to start with maybe a little background on Tilt, where we came from?
Yeah, and I want to hear about you as well and
Okay,
your background and what brought you to Tilt. Yeah, a little backstory would be great.
great. So maybe I'll start my background and then we'll flow into Tilt.
Perfect.
So I identify as a builder more than anything else. That's how I think of what gives me energy and what I love.
Yep.
That's taken a few forms over the course of my professional career. I've had in my opinion, great pleasure to have a lot of variety. I've done everything from building and scaling technology companies, building nonprofits, and then even doing some stuff kind of in the government space as well. So I really thrive on finding those intersections. But one of the things that truly gives me passion is the future of work and how that connects to almost everyone has some interaction with what that is, and it defines a big part of their life. So that's a lot of the energy that I get comes from this idea that work is part of how we live and how it integrates in our life can be something that hopefully is a really positive, but also there's things that need to really improve. So that's kind of the high level. I've done everything recently from being a venture capital investor, which is how I originally met Tilt.
Okay.
I invested in Tilt when I was the managing director of the Techstars Workforce Accelerator back in 2020.
Nice. Okay.
That's how I got to know the founder, Jen Henderson. She's our CEO. And her leave story and why she started the company really resonated with me because of my experiences. I was a COO of another company and we were attempting to manage leave ourselves. And boy, did we mess it up.
Okay.
And so I firsthand from the professional side knew this is tough stuff, tough to get right, complex.
Okay.
On the personal side, I have been through some work leave situations, some that were positive and some that were honestly pretty negative. So I've also known that journey that the emotional impact of a leave has a drastic influence on the relationship between an employee and their company. If you feel as an employee that when you're having the sort of happier forms of leave, if you will, whether that's a child or something like that is coming into your life, and so you're out on parental leave, or the sad ones, whether it's you're dealing with a medical situation, bereavement, all those, how your company shows up massively changes how you feel about that company. And so that really spoke to me when I met Jen. It's part of why I made the investment. I sat on the board as an observer for a few years.
Okay.
And then I said, I deeply care about this and I love the team. So if there's room, I'd love to join. Like, where's a paddle? I want to help paddle.
Right. No, that's awesome. And I know, there's been a bunch of accolades and awards that Tilt has won over the years, whether that's in the local Colorado communities or more broadly. So congrats for all
Thank you.
the recognition that you've gotten so far. Um, so so take me through like how you've thought about building Tilly, is it?
Yeah.
Tilly, your AI agent, how you went about that and how you think about the experience, the interaction, and
Mhm.
maybe some of the specific, sort of ups and downs of what it's like for someone to be going through something in their life that necessitates this process.
Absolutely. So maybe I'll start with some of our first principles of, you know, how to use AI.
Yeah.
I think the first one, and I'll be the first to say these are not really novel. I think a lot of other great companies are using similar ones. But
Hmm.
number one, like AI is not the destination.
Yep.
AI is a tool. And the question is, what problems is it actually going to solve for you? Which is, I appreciate how you framed the question.
Yeah.
But in the noise that is the AI hype, sometimes you can get lost on that journey. But we're trying to really stay true to that. The second is that we live in a space where it's really critical that humans continue to be involved.
Yeah.
Determining whether a leave is approved or not. Well, there's both legal consequences if you were to just say AI will solve all of it, but more from an ethical perspective, we don't think that that's the right approach.
Yeah.
So we embrace AI needs to be transparent, it needs to be explainable, and it needs to not be about just how do we get rid of all the humans, but it's rather how do we use it to elevate the human experience.
Yeah.
So that's where we're starting from. Now, more specifically, what does it offer us? Each leave is unique because we believe that humans need to be at the center of leave. It's about a human experience. There's a bunch of other things wrapped around it. There's regulatory pieces, whether it's federal things like FMLA.
Mm-hmm.
There's state. Some states have their own paid family leave programs,
Okay.
such as you live in New York, where
Yeah.
there is a New York state leave law around paid family leave. And then sometimes there's even city or local level stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to work through all those pieces. But then the question is, how do you deliver a leave experience that is really personalized? And that's what we're excited in here at HR Tech talking about, which is there is Tilly, there is AI, but it's actually that we're trying to deliver a different approach to leave management, which is the leave experience platform. So that's kind of the high level. Do you want me to dive into some of the like specific use cases we're pursuing?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So I'll take you through the life cycle of a leave on the employee side first, and then we can talk about the HR party on the other.
Okay.
So the first one is just that when you find yourself in a moment when you need leave, you need a way to start that leave. So one of the AI use cases that we have actually launched is an AI voice agent
Okay.
that also has a paired chat functionality. It's the same engine knowledge base that's running it, but it's sort of a dual channel approach because a lot of people want one or the other. And so we've actually very successfully, with high accuracy and really strong guardrails, built an AI voice agent that is also chat enabled so that you can start a leave. And it'll ask you, there's about, I don't know, 18 to 20 questions that you need to understand the parameters of a leave to get started. And it goes through them piece by piece. And one of the things that's really exciting about the current state of the combination of deterministic coding alongside some generative models, previously that had to be like a step 1, 2, 3, 4 and wasn't very human in terms of the experience.
Yeah.
The generative models are amazingly adept at going through those. If you want to switch the order in which you're answering questions, or if you miss one, it doesn't break the thing. It does a great job of looping back and being like, hey, we missed one question. I had this, or this was
Yeah.
unclear. So that's the first thing that's one example at the beginning of a leave journey that we've done.
That is a far cry from the chatbots of old.
Yes, it is.
It's really rigid, structured. You don't skip steps. You don't remember steps that you did skip if you did them. Uh, and so, yeah, so I already, I mean, I think you're um, talking about a much more, um, I guess, human-centric kind of approach, or it's like you're having a real conversation.
Yeah. And that's our goal. And one of the pieces that we are thinking about with that is availability and accessibility. With the chat and the voice piece that we have, that is 24/7, 365, which, you know, it's not unique to us, but a lot of the legacy parties that are doing leave management run off of old school call center approaches. So the fact that we have that as the immediately available front line so that you can make progress immediately,
Mm-hmm.
but then we have clear guardrails around, hey, if you say, hey, am I allowed to do this in my leave? That all of a sudden steps over that line into asking AI to decision something.
Yeah.
And that's where we've put a lot of effort to make sure that our AI, Tilly, says, that's a great question. I can't answer that for you, but I've captured the question and we'll have someone back in touch within one business day and or initiate a call so that you can have that human to human interaction.
Right.
But hopefully provide that first point of contact whenever you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I think I like that approach. So when you think about how this sort of integrates with other like AI tools that um, a person may experience, I guess this kind of ties to like product roadmap and where you see some of the extensions happening or additional capabilities. How do you think about the broader space, and do you, I guess you have your own sort of build versus partner, decisions to make in that regard?
Absolutely. And we actively, on every meaningful sort of feature set, we that is where we start. Should we build by our partner on this? And I think what is really powerful is a lot of times the answer is buy or partner. And I think that is a unique piece where it's not that we're going to buy or partner on everything, but we should be highly judicious as a vertical SaaS AI sort of structure. What is the unique piece of leave? And that's one of the questions that we constantly ask is, how is AI different for leave? And we need to have a good answer for that, because we don't need to go build a general LLM. Like, that's not our business. But the question is, how does applying it to leave get to unique answers that might be different than other use cases?
And I think, of course, when I put my responsible AI hat on, it seems like you guys have already, you are being responsible by design. You're thinking about the transparency and the ethics of all of this, um, and the fact that you have an appreciation for the situation that the employee is in. Um, I guess as you think about that more broadly, and I think about where other sort of characteristics of responsible AI come into play. In the US, we would typically say this is not necessarily the highest risk, use case, but technically someone might say, well, are we what is all the decision criteria when it comes to approving things or approving things for what duration,
Hmm.
those types of things? What are some exceptions? What are the guidelines for an extension
Yep.
of a leave, and those kinds of situations? And so, I mean, even if you have clients or have aspirations to have clients in the EU, for example,
Uh-huh.
I mean, they may consider um, even this part of HR like high risk.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree. GDPR
yeah,
obviously has a totally different framework
yeah.
than what we face on the US side.
A lot of vendors that I talk to, we do think about third party audits and things like that. But you guys are kind of removed from that. I mean, I just feel like some of these internal, I don't know, it seems like the lowest exposure to some of the risks that we think about in terms of adverse impact or whatever. The
Absolutely.
the exposure there is relatively minimized.
And that's how we're trying to guardrail is
Yeah,
for that. And I mean, both, I mean, our AI laws, I mean, there's not really a federal framework anyways, but the
right.
state ones that are kind of the first movers on it
Hmm.
are a piece that we're constantly monitoring to make sure that we're compliant. But I think it also goes back to just how do you do this right? How do you use AI as the right tool? And our opinion is that with something such as making a determination on whether a leave is approved or extended, that should be an HR leader that's involved in it.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're actively building it so that we're not walking into adverse impact. The other pieces is that we are really trying to embrace a proactive framework on our AI monitoring, which is interesting because it's such a fast evolving field.
Mhm.
Are you adopting the NIST framework, or like which of these? Because it doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of opinions, but it doesn't seem there like there's a common sentiment as to a standard like SOC 2 Type 2, as an
Yeah,
example.
agree.
And so that's where we're trying to figure out the right ways to articulate this stuff so that we can be framework driven for consistency of consumption of our information by customers, but also flexible because there's not a market standard.
Yeah, no, I like that you're leaving. This is a really sensitive topic, and being transparent about it and fair about it. So, but you still have the data that you can look at to say, okay, let's make sure we're making these decisions on a consistent
Absolutely.
basis. This manager approved a similar case, and is there any sort of human bias in that process?
And that's kind of switching from the employee that goes on leave and uses our platform on that side to the HR
Mhm.
user that are our customers. Those are some of the things that we're really trying to elevate for them, which is, for the past decade or two, there have been leave vendors that are like, oh, there's a dashboard that shows you the pie graph of the composition of your leaves. Diving a lot deeper was a lot of manual effort. And the questions you might be wanting to ask, such as this specific manager or what's happening in this department, we're probably more in the realm of custom reporting or analysis. And that's what we're really also pushing forward on is AI driven analysis that's prompt led on the
Yeah.
part of HR. So they can say like, great, drill down in this way. And that's something that we're actively bringing to market that I think will give a lot more agency and power to the HR leader to have agency to define what the employee experience is. So that's another thing that we're really excited about.
Nice. Oh, great. Well, I've learned a lot
Yeah.
in this conversation. It's always fascinating when people talk about use cases of AI in HR and talent technology. I guess it depends on what your sphere of expertise is and what domain you play in. But for me, it's a lot of it has been on the talent acquisition side where people are where people are being judged, right? And is that being done in a fair and consistent way? But it's always good to get exposure to what's happening in terms of talent management, talent development, core HR, payroll, benefit, total wellness. All these things are important to people. It's just part of their life and their livelihood and how they're managing all these things. And so it's just really eye-opening to see all these other use cases that try to help, sort of broaden my exposure to the full sort of talent life cycle. So
Absolutely.
really appreciate you spending some time with me.
Well, thank you for having me on and the opportunity to share some with you and your audience about why we so deeply care about leave and how we think that AI is going to be something that, when used appropriately as the tool, could have a really positive human impact. So,
Yeah. Awesome.
wonderful.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks again. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.